So Jane, whenever you're ready, if you just want to, as we've done in the past, if you can just kind of give us a heads up when you want to change to the next slide, and I'll advance them. Over to you, Jane.
Thanks, Jordan. I think I'm ready. Good morning once again. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Very well.
Thanks. I'll go through a few slides that I prepared, and they are mainly about the IRC's water advocacy work in Uganda, generally, which will be very brief, and then specifically on one piece of work or one piece of advocacy work that we are doing together with the Uganda Water and Sanitation NGO network. So, next slide, please. In Uganda, IRC has been in Uganda since 2006, and the initial work was really around promoting learning, doing action research, and supporting the sector to improve, the way it works, but specifically to look at issues of monitoring, issues of financing WASH. Those were the main areas of concentration, and using all that knowledge, information, we have progressively gone into advocacy, but the kind of advocacy that we do is not the kind of advocacy where you go on the streets and you're shouting and you have placards and you're pushing around people and then you get tear gassed by the police. It's real advocacy where we work with the policymakers themselves. And at the moment, we're involved in 3 pieces of advocacy work. And the first one is with Water Aid and Water for People, and this is integrating service delivery indicators in sector monitoring and performance. It's been going on for a while, and I think we've tested the real essence of changing policy, especially when you're touching on some of those things that mean a lot to the technical people. We have the golden indicators in the country, and those are the ones that are being used for sector monitoring and performance, and nobody wants to touch them. And so we come up and say, well, they are very good 11 golden indicators, but they need to be broken down a little bit more. And we can do that using service delivery indicators. And so I've been working with them for the last 2.5 years now. At least they bought into the idea of service delivery indicators, and they accepted us to touch the golden indicators, which is a plus. And we're still going ahead in developing those indicators. And the second one is what I mentioned earlier, scaling up the sub-county water supply and sanitation boards. And we did that under our Sustainable Services at Scale, the TAWASNET project in Uganda. And we were able to convince the sector that at the sub-county level, which is where literally government starts, we need to have an institution, we need to have a structure to really take 100% care of water and sanitation issues. And we tested out the boards in 2 districts. I guess we presented very good evidence that now they have been included in the sector guidelines. The sector guidelines in Uganda are the ones that really set the pace for implementation at the decentralized level. And then the third piece of advocacy work is, as I said earlier, with TAWASNET. And we're supporting the Ministry of Water and Environment to convince the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, it's a long story, to increase budget allocations for O&M from 13% to 15%. And that will be literally the core of my sharing with you today. We have the District Water and Sanitation Conditional Grant, and it's the grant that has the different allocations. At the moment, we have 70% going to investment, 13% going to O&M, 8% going to software, really involving the public, and that is being managed by by the district water office. And then we have it fluctuates between 3 and 2% really going to the district water office itself to facilitate it to, or the people in there to move around the district and to do supervisory work. But our main focus is increasing the O&M funds budgets in the conditional grant from 13 to 15%. Next slide, please. Can I have the next slide? In terms of activities specifically for the advocacy work to increase the O&M, we've done action research, and it's both TAWASNET and IRC, but we also tap into a lot of other research that has been done by other organizations, and this is basically to collect evidence, and it's going on in the different districts in the country, depending on where the different partners that we work with operate. We've also done video documentaries and audio recordings. We've learned over time that the technical people want to see and hear. Not us speaking. If we can't bring the whole population into the Ministry of Water, then we can go out and record from the different parts of the country, and they get slightly more convinced or faster when they hear and see people at the sub-county level, water users themselves at the water sources, really speaking out about how they are getting involved in O&M and what is missing, which should be done. We're also having meetings with the functionality thematic group. That is the sector group that is responsible for improving functionality in the country, and it's our avenue into the ministry itself, and it's chaired by a whole commissioner in the ministry. That also helps to put the whole issue of O&M high on the agenda. We've had breakfasts and other meetings with members of parliament. There are 2 committees of parliament. There are 2 groups of MPs in parliament that are interested in WASH. One is the Parliamentary Committee on Natural Resources, and it's the official committee that receives and approves all the budgets for the Ministry of Water and Environment. And then we have a pressure group, the Uganda Parliamentary Forum on WASH, which is really a pressure group, and it puts pressure on the committee, the big committee of parliament, to consider issues of WASH. And it's a group that we've worked with and we're working with on this O&M advocacy work. We've also organized, and we are continuing to organize, national level and district level policy advocacy dialogues, meetings and consultations. And some of these are like small, 5 people, depending on what we want them to address. Recently we had one with at the national level with the desk officer in charge of, in the Ministry of Finance, who is in charge of issues of WASH and the environment, basically tabling our case, discussing how to get more involved in the different platforms that are provided by the Ministry of Finance. We've developed quite a number of IEC materials, but the most interesting piece of the materials is the policy brief. We've done 1-pagers because we know the technical people don't have time to read, the politicians don't have time to read, especially at the district level. And so we do 1-pagers, and we are planning to do the 1-pagers of the policy briefs in different colors. We've realized that in Parliament, the members of Parliament receive lots of documents in their pigeonholes. And so we are saying that I guess we need to drop the white paper. If we put it on cream or pink or blue, well, it may attract more attention, and the member of Parliament will be able to pick it up and read it. Through TAWASNET, we're building capacity of the civil society organizations, but mainly focusing on use of social accountability approaches, because we feel that those are the approaches that can enable that can put more pressure, that can enable especially the decentralized level teams to, take us seriously. And then we also we are using a lot of media and online communication as elaborated, and also taking advantage of key sector events, especially the joint sector and technical reviews, the sector working groups. Yesterday we actually had the sector working group for the development partners, and I was able to mention the work that we are doing and still call on their support. And then at the district level, we have to time the budget conferences. We have them for this particular year. They are starting in September. Next slide. We have a few successes. Probably when you read them, you may think, oh, these are small and they are simple. But depending on what we have in terms of the context in Uganda, they are really big for us. We've had different funders getting interested in our work, and we've had a contract signed with the funders to support our advocacy work, both in IRC and in TAWASNET. We have a partnership with TAWASNET, and this is really big for us because IRC is one member of TAWASNET, but TAWASNET has 250 members spread out in the country. And so it's easier when you work with TAWASNET, you're able to reach as many civil society organizations as possible to put pressure on the district and national levels to look at O&M and give it more money. We have strong commitment and support from government, ready to invest money and time, and also from the government level, supporting us and introducing us to the district so that we can have the district level engagements. We have a well-developed joint operational plan with very good activities. We've done research. We're working with the Parliamentary Watch Forum. We have development partners that are allies and partners. And then both organizations have the technical expertise and experience in advocacy, both within WASH, but also for a number of us even before joining WASH. So it's not a new arena for us. And then we are effectively communicating with each other and to the policymakers at national and district level. Next, please. But still, with all that, we still have some challenges. We are a very small country, but with many districts. And between TAWASNET and us, we've successfully at least entered 38 districts to sell and promote our case, and that is out of 111. So we are still thinking around that. We want this advocacy to go to all the districts so that we can, influence even at that level, but throughout the country. We are working with a multiplicity of actors with different interests and demands, and there are many factors and influences that are beyond our control. And that is what we have to go through at national level, at district level. You have somebody who says, oh, we are very, very interested in increasing the O&M, but then don't touch the 70% investment because that is good for politics. And then you have to see how to balance it out. Sometimes you don't understand much of what they say, especially the politicians. Then political interference and misinterpretation of facts and issues. Unpacking the 13% hasn't been easy. And you hear even comments, people saying, but O&M is very simple. Let's even reduce it, put it at 10% of the conditional grant. Changes in the political landscape. This is a campaign year for us in the country, so things are very slow, and they'll get even slower after October, and then we have elections in February. So we need to change strategy a bit, but I think at one point we'll have to really slow down or stop and wait for things to normalize. Policy changes related to budget are long-term processes. Nobody wants to talk about money, especially when you're talking about increasing a budget, and then you will have others saying, oh, but that's not so important. I think we need more money this side and not with O&M. The functionality working group has changed. We had allies and partners on the group within the ministry. It's a group that has about 21 people. We've had a number of people who have retired, people who have been moved to other ministries, and then civil society organizations that are part of the group but are no longer active. The conditional grants, the district conditional grant allocation formula is very complicated. It's a whole long formula based on population, based on number of water sources that are functioning and non-functioning, and so it's very hard to explain it even to the district people. And so you hear comments like, oh, but my district neighbors, this district, how come they get more money than I do? And then you have to go through that whole formula, and then you'll hear complaints, no, my population is not that, this is not fair. So by the time you get through that, you have quite a lot ahead of you. And then recently, government of Uganda changed the planning and budget cycle, which sort of disorganized us in a way, but it was good. Previously, they would read the budget and then do the approval of the budget after reading in June. This time, they read the budget in June, but it had already been approved in May. And so it was a bit confusing for us, especially as a society, but I think we are coming to terms with that. Then we also get comments. We have people who believe that budget-related advocacy is only for economists. I'm not an economist. And so they will say, oh, but why are you doing this? You leave that to the economists. And so you hit a snag there and a very big brick wall. And then lastly, capacity to do practical advocacy at the decentralized level is lacking. These districts don't have the human resource, they don't have information, they don't have internet connection, and some of them are really in the remote part of the country, and so it becomes very difficult to reach out to them. So that is, I think, what I had to share with you. Thank you very much for listening.
Thanks so much, Jane. Right now we're just, we'll do one or two clarifying questions or we can take one or two questions. For Jane, we want to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to present, and then we'll have time for kind of everyone to ask more questions. But Ryan, you had a question if you want to go ahead.
It was not clarifying. So
that's okay. Go ahead.
So Jane, thanks for your presentation. It's really interesting. One question I have is, in talking in relative terms, in changing from 13% to 15% O&M, are you also talking an overall increase in the budget which is allocated to the district? And if not, what was the reaction that you get from the districts in thinking that if they have these overall targets for total coverage, if they shift away, the same budget, if they shift from investment in capital infrastructure or replacement of that infrastructure to more O&M, more software things, I'm just curious as to how they would respond to that, because if you're asking them to do more with the same amount, essentially, experience pushback. So I'm just curious as to what that was.
Do I take that one or I wait?
No, please go ahead, Jane.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've had quite some bit of increase in terms of the overall district water and sanitation conditional grant. More from the development partners that are supporting water and sanitation, but also from government of Uganda itself, from the what we call the joint partnership fund that comes from the revenue that is collected. So in terms of nominal amounts, yes, we've had an increase, but because the allocation is based on this formula, they go into details and look at what is it that this particular district, what does it have. They start with population. They go to what facilities are there. They look at all the other facilities. Like, for example, they also look at health. How many health centers are there in the district? Because then they need more facilities. the beauty about that is that then the district knows what kind of capacities and resources that it has. So the complication is brought about by the politicians. The technical people understand that you can't do investment all the year round. You really need to look at post-construction issues. But the politicians don't see it like that. The more facilities that are constructed or put up in a particular constituency, whether it's the member of parliament or councillor who lobbied, it doesn't matter. They'll still go out during campaigns and say, you know, we had 10 boreholes. Now we have 20 because I brought in the 10. So the clash is of the titans at that level. The technical people understand it and they appreciate it, and they know that if they get more resources in O&M, or slightly more resources in O&M, then they are able to follow up on all these facilities that they have, and to make sure that, for example, the hand pump mechanics do the routine maintenance that they're supposed to do. The water user committees collect the fees to take care of their sources. So the issue is at a slightly higher level, and it brings in quite some bit of politics.
Great. Thank you so much, Jane. We'll if you can stay on, we'll still have more questions probably after others present. But we're going to move now. Feliciano, you're up next. So Feliciano, can you hear us in the room? Feliciano, you might still be muted, so if you can unmute yourself. Are you still there, Feliciano? I know you said you had some trouble.
Hi, I'm here.
Great. All right, Feliciano, you're up. And just let me know when you want to advance the slides.
Yeah, okay. All right. As I said, I'm Feliciano from Mozambique. My presentation will be about the Mandimba district, where we choose to do this advocacy, and can have impact not only in this district, but also another district. Okay, the objective of this is to review the budget, the low budget, and authorizing the district to use funding for WASH. Can you give me the next slide, please? Okay, I want to say that the national budget in Mozambique is just approved 2 months ago because we have a new government and things was not going well. So, and the budget was approved last two months ago. And it was not easy to get information because what we started to do was to collect evidence for this advocacy. And this slide showed the provincial economic and social plan. And if you look at here, let me show you this. There is the plan showed that Mandimba district, they are going to build one borehole. This, I think you can see Mandimba in this slide.
Looking for
yes.
Yes. You see Mandimba, yeah? Mm-hmm. This is a provincial economic and social plan. They plan one borehole for this district. But if we go to the next slide, show me the next slide. Okay, this is a district economic and social plan for the district, Mandimba district. They plan to build 5 boreholes. 5 boreholes, and will cost 1,250,000 meticais. So this is and they plan to use their investment money for the district, the local money. But as you saw the first slide, the second flight, I mean, said that the provincial level, they plan to do just 1 borehole. And the district said 5 boreholes. The next, please. Okay, and we went to the provincial level to ask them what they plan to do around this year. And if we look at this plan sent by the chief of department of WASH in provincial level, there is no boreholes to Mandimba. There is no plan to Mandimba. They have only a small system of water. There is a rise awareness in the communities in Mandimba and some another districts. So this is a lack of planning, because the first slides they said that they will build 1 borehole, but at the provincial level they say they want to build 5 boreholes. So, and we come to this slide, we can see they said that they will want to do raise awareness in the communities about the posts they are going to build, but there's no plan. And other things is the plan for this district Mandimba is not with the state budget, but with the pursuers. Pursuers is foreign money, is for the donors' money, and not for the government money. So can we go to another plan, another slide, please? Yeah, this is the budget approved by the parliament. So when we look at this one, the end of this slide, you will see there is amount of investment, total investment is 21,233,000 metric cash. That means that the district have this money for investment. So compared to the money they plan to build 5 boreholes, is like 1% of this budget, the total budget they have for the investment. I don't know if you understand me. Hello?
So Feliciano, can you explain that last part one more time? Because I mean, I think we have some, there's some follow-up questions I think that I would have, but can you explain the last part of the budget piece one more time? That would be great.
Okay, since for the starter again, or this one?
I think just from one.
For this one?
Yes.
Okay, this one is a budget approved by the parliament for the state budget, and for the district of Mandimba, the Mandimba where we focus on this advocacy. The end of this budget, you will see the total investment. I don't know if you see that one. Total investment.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
They have 21,236,000 petty cash.
Mm-hmm.
You see that? You see that one?
Yes.
Okay. Means that they can use this money for WASH if they want, if the government can approve that one. So they plan to build 5 boreholes, and the 5 boreholes, if you look at the second slide, they say they will use just 1,250,000 cash. That cash is money for Mozambique. So this means that maybe, yeah. So this, yeah. No, this the first one. Yeah. If you look at here, they say 5 boreholes, 1,000. You see?
Yes.
1,250.
Yeah.
4 boreholes.
Yes, yeah. That's right. Yeah.
5%.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So Okay, we can go back to that slide. Okay, so the district have 21 million. You know what I mean? And they just took 1 million for that money. This for wash for 5 boreholes. But sometimes they don't allow the district level to use this money for wash. Even they plan that one. So the next. So that's why we are going to use that information. We already start having meetings with the community level to show them that your district have 21 million to use for investment in this district. But in the central level, they don't allow the district level to use that money for wash. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hello? Yeah. So and
yes,
the
yes.
district,
Yep.
and the district level, when we talk with the administrator of the district, the technician for district, every year they plan, they put the money to use for wash, but in the provincial level and the national level, they don't allow them to use that money. So in the provincial level, as you saw, when they send their plan to national level, they plan 1 borehole to Mandimba. But in sometimes the provincial level plan, they don't have any borehole to Mandimba. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So basically, it's that the district is requesting 5, the province is saying we need 1, and the national is only budgeting for none.
Correct. So
Oh, yeah.
Which is a very, I think anyone who works, this, I think Jane would recognize this, you'd recognize from our work in Ghana. This is such a typical problem of district level budgeting that ties into nothing in the end,
Yeah, the lack of support at each of the levels.
The lack of support, and often I think, I think what Jane was talking about, this is, if you're looking at lobby and advocacy and the role of civil society, it's actually the ability of CSOs or anyone else to carry out this sort of analysis, because if you're going to hold people accountable, this is the analysis you have to be able to do. This is what you have to be able to track through these series of planning documents, which, as Jane said, this is how it rolls out in the real world, right? It's annual budget plans, it's budget preparation, it's submission of budgets, and if someone isn't sitting on that,
budget allocation sufficient for 5 boreholes. So what strategies are you putting in place in advance to mitigate that type of reaction?
Yeah, but I mean, they can't say that they don't have budget allocation, because when we look at the investment for this, they have money.
Okay.
You know what I mean? They have money. The problem is to authorize this to use that money for wash.
Prioritization.
The same times when you look at I mean, there is a one slide that show a planning for the province. Can you go back, please? Yeah, this one. If you look at this one, you will see that our government, they just put responsibility for the wash to the partners. Like you have Island Embassy, Tukwamba Island Embassy for sewers, Gotas. This is not government budget. It's for partners like embassies. They give this money. So it means that even the national budget, they just use 2% for wash. You know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, this can be another issue to discuss with the government, because they just use the national budget. The state government use only 2% for wash, and you can see in the provincial level also, the main activity they use money for the donors, and not for the government. You just use, I mean, for Mekula, and you know, but the rest is for the donors. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much, Feliciano. So we will, if you can stick around, we'll probably have more questions for you once we hear from our last presenter. Thank you. So our last presenter, Emmanuel, can you hear us? Hopefully we'll be able to hear you. And if for some reason we can't, then we'll try to go through the slides that we have, Emmanuel, and then we'll go from there. So, Emmanuel, if you want to unmute yourself, and let's see if we can hear you.
Thank you, Eileen. Emmanuel, before I'm going to present a work which we are doing with the WASH advocates and practices.This, which is advocating for the improvement of menstrual hygiene management facilities in Tanzania.
Okay. So, well, Emmanuel, sorry, can you try again? Because I think we're cutting out and we can't hear you very well.
Okay. I think maybe my connection is not so good, but I'll try again.
Yeah. Whatever you just did is good. We can now hear you. So keep going.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to present on the work which we are doing with the Advocacy and the WASH advocates. It is on advocating for the improvement of menstrual hygiene management facilities in Tanzania, secondary schools, under the Secondary Education Development Program Phase 2.
Okay. You hold. Are you using headphones?
Hello?
Yeah, so the microphone for the headphones, just hold it very close to your mouth.
Okay, okay. Do you hear me now?
Yes, so just hold it there. Keep doing that.
Okay. Next slide.
Okay, great.
Well, for those who are not know about TAWASNET is the Tanzania Water and Sanitation Network. It is an umbrella organization who has WASH civil society organization in Tanzania, and it is coordinated by the Secretariat of the network structure. We have the annual general meeting, the board of directors, and the Secretariat performs the activities. And for the time being, we have around the 60 members in Tanzania who have different capacities in terms of financial, in terms of technical, in terms of personnel. They vary.
Emmanuel, sorry to interrupt, but you keep cutting out. So we heard only TAWASNET, and so try one more time, and then if for some reason we can't hear you, then maybe I'll just go through your slides and then see if we can do some follow-up with some questions. So try one more time.
Okay, let me try to go once again. I said that TAWASNET stands for Tanzania Water and Sanitation Network.
All right. So, Emmanuel, can you tell me your mobile phone number?
Mobile phone number is +255. And then 713.
Okay.
And then 6759.
Okay.
47.
For what? 47. Okay.
47.
Right. So we are, if you'll put yourself on mute, and we're going to call you via Skype so you can present. And then in the meantime, if anyone has any questions for Jane or Feliciano until we get this set up. Okay? We're going to see if technology will be our friend today.
Gee, I have a question for Jane.
Yeah, so, yeah, please go ahead.
Jane, it's Amanda Marlin here. You gave a fabulous presentation. I just thought, to start the day with that presentation, and you touched on so many issues. I just wanted to ask you about one. It seemed to me that part of the reason you had such a strong and successful advocacy campaign is that you had such a clear and focused target, really zeroing in on operations and maintenance and a 13% to a 15% increase. It's really clear what you're asking for, and then you can get all your arguments around that. In my experience, it's really hard to get a group of advocates to zero in on something that concrete. I think we usually fail because we try to compromise. One person wants to advocate for one thing, someone wants to advocate for something else. We try and come up with something that will make everyone happy, and then we're not very clear and focused. So I wondered if you could tell us a little bit about what you did or what the process was at your end to get such a nice, clear advocacy focus.
Thanks, Amanda. I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
Yes.
And thanks a lot for the compliments. This is work that we've been doing for some time, and we had so many consultative meetings. Up to now, we still do. We go back to the drawing board if there is any change, and we say, I think we need another strategy, or we need to do it differently. But we also made sure that from especially the IRC SSS work that ended last year, we had generated quite a lot of evidence from our research work, and we had engaged extensively with the local governments as well as the Rural Water Department in the ministry, and we sort of were very, very clear about their need. And it became a little easier to address their need and getting their support. Because, as I said earlier, anything to do with money, you tread carefully. Because with the government people, they'll always say we don't have enough money. We need more money. But then this time we were very clear on what we wanted the more money for, and looking at their own tools. The conditional grant is their own tool. It's not our tool. And we had also gone through that when we supported them to revise and update the district implementation manual. we realized that when you use their own tool, and if you're going to add a few things, it becomes easier for them to see that, yes, their tool has certain gaps that need to be addressed. And so they open up in an easier way for you to come in and engage with them. And then we also were very clear on who is our spokesperson, who is speaking on our behalf. And so for us, TAWASNET was a good strategy because TAWASNET brings together all these organizations, and it's very, very active in the sector. And so we sat with the secretariat of TAWASNET and we said,